to my channel if you're new. What it do? So I'm back again with another little sit down chit chat. It's been a really long time since I did one of these, y'all. I be trying the voiceovers and stuff, but I'm still working on my audio techniques. Like, it be sounding so dusty, it be making me mad. I got this little mic right here. Hopefully it do a little something, but if it don't, we still got the audio camera. It's all good, it's fine. But I was like, yeah, let me just come sit down and do a little chit chat like old times. So for today's solo diary topic, I wanted to give a few tips on how to truly master being alone, and also share some of my personal experiences with how I got to the comfort level that I am today. And the reason that I wanted to speak on this topic is because I see a rising trend of a lot of women and some men doing a lot more things alone, you know, taking themselves on solo dates, on solo trips, and I absolutely love it, y'all. I am 100% rooting for it. As someone that's been very comfortable with being by myself since a young age, I've come to the conclusion that the majority of people are not comfortable being in their own company. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing for us to desire human connection, because we were literally created to be social beings. The Bible even states that Eve was specifically made for Adam. In Genesis 2, he says, "It is not good for man to be alone. Let me make Adam a helpmeet." And then we can see another example in Matthew. They had asked Jesus what the greatest commandment was, and he said it was to first love God and to second love your neighbor. We obviously can't love our neighbor without being around other people, so human connection is definitely important for us. However, it becomes an issue when we begin to make people an idol in our lives, when we start to put other humans above God and above ourselves. And we've all fell victim to this at some point, myself included, and it stems from the desire to be loved and validated and accepted. And whenever we have any kind of pain or trauma or emptiness within ourselves, a lot of times we will go to other people to fill those voids instead of going to God. I can't speak for men specifically since I'm not a man, but I know a lot of times as women, we struggle with making men the center of our lives, desiring that love and covering and protection that comes from a masculine man, which again is not a negative desire because it's literally in our spiritual DNA. But I just feel like we live in such a broken society today where people are full of trauma. We're bleeding on other people. We don't know who we are. We don't know who God is. We're not operating in our God-given purpose, and this just leads us to seek validation in all of the wrong places. And if we aren't confident in who God created us to be as women, if we don't properly heal, it can lead to desperation, which is essentially the fear of being alone. But this fear isn't even just for romantic relationships. It can go for all relationships in our lives. Where do y'all think peer pressure comes from? The desire to fit in, the desire to be accepted. Nobody wants to be the odd one out. Or maybe you come from a toxic household, but you still tolerate those toxic family members because I don't want to be without a mom. I don't want to be without a dad, right? So I have to let you know that in order to conquer your fear of being alone, the first thing you have to do is truly get to know God and your identity in Him. You are so precious and valuable to God. No matter what you feel like you have or haven't done, no matter how far you've strayed away, you feel like you messed up too much, like, bro, scratch all of that. You are still His son. You are still His daughter, and you were created in His image and in His likeness. You may be thinking like, okay, so what does this have to do with conquering my fear of being alone? Well, it has everything to do with it. When we stand firm in our identity and we know who we are in Christ, we no longer desire to be accepted and validated by the world, because we know that that validation comes from God. He heals our feelings of rejection and pain and abandonment that was inflicted on us since a very young age. God says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am loved. I am chosen. I am valued. Not because other humans said so, but because God said so in His word. Now, I'm not saying to get a big head and just walk around with this super inflated ego, because we are still called to remain humble. But what I'm saying is, once you know your identity in Christ, you're not going for just anything. It's not going to be no disrespect, mistreatment, conforming, putting up with foolishness from other people just for their stamp of approval. No. We are standing firm in who God says we are and setting boundaries. And if that means that we got to stand alone, then so be it. It is what it is. All right, the second thing that you want to do in order to master being alone is to find your purpose. In one of my favorite books by Dr. Miles Monroe, he mentioned something that has stuck with me for years. It says, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose. The greatest mistake in life is to be busy but not effective. When we as humans don't know why we were created and put on this earth, we tend to let the world determine these things for us. The system literally tells us to live, go to work, pay your bills, and die. That's it. Sorry guys, camera died. Okay, we're back. What I was saying, oh yeah, social media paints this image that basically our purpose is to just do whatever makes us happy, whether the consequences are positive or negative. But have you ever sat down and really pondered over your God-given purpose? I'm gonna be honest, when I finally sat down and asked God about it, it initially made me feel very angry and frustrated. And I was frustrated because I felt like I wasn't good at anything outside of just going to work and making money. I didn't have any special talents like singing and dancing, public speaking, and all of that stuff. But the more time that I spent discovering the answer to this question, the more that I began to find my strengths. And as you finally begin to discover your purpose, you'll start to notice yourself kind of distancing away from the people around you. And this may just be temporarily, or it may be forever. It just depends on what direction y'all both going in. Your priorities will just start to change, and you'll notice, like, instead of kicking it with your friends at the usual times that you do, now you're using that time to self-develop. You're using that time to research on starting a business, starting a non-profit, writing a book. Instead of going to hang out with that guy or that girl that you know it ain't really about to go nowhere, instead you're putting that time into your personal goals. When we lack purpose in our lives, we give away so much time to people that are most likely not helping us get to where we need to be. Now, I'm not saying to just go cut everybody off in your life, absolutely not. But you may have to have conversations with them, you know? You may be like, hey, I know we usually go out every Friday, but I need to start using this time to build my brand after work. Or it could be like, hey, I know we usually stay up on the phone all night caking, but I have to start going to bed early so that I could be well rested for my classes in the morning. Something along those lines. But the point is that once you start to lock in on your purpose, you'll notice yourself naturally ducking off so you can get your priorities straight. And over time, it'll actually start to dawn on you like, dang, I actually feel a lot more fulfilled when I'm operating in my purpose versus just spending time with people that are not moving me forward. Okay, so now that I've covered the deeper, more spiritual aspect of conquering solitude, now I want to go into more of the physical side. These will just be some lighthearted, practical steps that you could take to get more comfortable with being by yourself. So when you're going out to do things alone, like out to eat, for example, you need to understand that nobody cares about you. That's it. That's the tip, bro. Nobody cares. I know a lot of people get like really anxious and self-conscious when they're out doing things by themselves just because they feel like everybody is looking at them and judging them. But I'm telling you right now, nobody is thinking about you. And even if they do notice you in the restaurant for like 2 seconds, they finna go straight back to having whatever conversation they was having with they people. I remember when I was like super deep in my gym girl era, right? I would get a lot of questions all the time of like, how do I overcome my gym shyness? I get very self-conscious in the gym. I feel like people are looking at me, they're judging me, they're judging my form. And I would just tell them, like, most people in the gym are locked in on their own workout. They got their headphones in, they in the zone, they're thinking about how fine they about to get. Like, they is not worried about nobody else. They are not about to be the form police, okay? You might get a few stares if you doing like, y'all be seeing them Planet Fitness videos where they be doing like 10 reps of slap your mamas. I don't know what they be doing, bro. You might get a few stares then, but outside of that, nobody is worried about you. And it's like the same thing when you sit down in a restaurant. Like, ain't nobody finna start giggling and taking pictures. Something that I would recommend if you tend to get like anxious during your solo outings, always carry some headphones. Carry a book, anything to keep your mind distracted and not just focus on the fact that everybody's looking at you. But on the flip side, y'all, if you are being watched, 9 times out of 10 that person is actually going to approach you, because people that are alone are typically seen as more approachable than people that are in groups. So you really could end up making a great friend or a business partner or even the love of your life. You never know. But yeah, outside of that, people are usually not on no weird stuff. They just gonna go about their day. All right, moving right along, the 4th tip that I have is to start small. Now, what do I mean by this? When you're first starting out on your solo journey, it could be super overwhelming overwhelming to just like take a week-long trip in a new country. Some people do start it out that way, but for others it can be a bit overwhelming and you're definitely gonna feel a lot of emotions. So maybe you can just start by like visiting the Mexican restaurant down the street, or going to the park, going to the library, go see a movie in your city. Like, start small and then build up to a whole vacation if that's something that you even desire to do. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys about my first solo date. Okay, so boom. Let's see. I was a sophomore in high school. That means I was about like what, 15, 16, one of them. And I had just got my first car, y'all. I was lit. I had just got a car. And this particular evening, I wanted to go to my favorite restaurant, which was BJ's. Hey, if you know, you know. They got the Pazookies, which is basically a skillet pizza cookie with a scoop of ice cream on top. I would highly recommend. But anyway, yeah, basically, y'all, I was hungry. I wanted to go to my favorite restaurant and nobody was available. I had a boyfriend at the time, but I want to say he was at work. My mom was busy as well. None of my friends had cars just yet, so I was just like, you know what, I'm finna pull up regardless, because I got a car now and I got free will. So I just brought my headphones with me. I got seated. I watched a little vloggy vlog. It was kind of weird at first because it was my first time being at a restaurant by myself, but eventually over time, you guys, I really started to enjoy it. So from that point on, y'all, BJ's became my weekly solo date spot. I kid you not. I was in that mug once a week. I remember my server, Victoria, if you watching this, hey girl, hey. And I was enjoying it so much that I started to get curious about doing other things solo. So I remember a short while later, I went to the movies. I was still in the 10th grade then. I did my first movie by myself. Don't get me wrong, y'all. Me and my boyfriend would do a lot of fun things together. He knew that I loved going out and doing stuff. We would go out to eat. We would go to the movies, Dave & Buster's, Slitterbond. But at the same time, I'm really glad that I learned to enjoy my own company at such a young age. Fast forward to my senior year of high school. I was like, what, 17, 18 by then. I told my mom that I wanted to take a solo trip to Thailand, and she literally laughed in my face. She was like, never in a million years will you be leaving this country by yourself. And honestly, I felt offended by that. The way she just brushed it off, I was like, oh, for real? Like, that's a bit, like, you gonna have to stand on that now. So once I graduated college, I finally took my first solo trip to San Francisco. When I tell y'all she was mad, y'all, she was mad. And of course it was just because she was worried about my safety. Like, her mind is automatically gonna go to me getting kidnapped and all kind of crazy stuff happening just as a parent. But thank God that he was with me, because I literally had the time of my life. I actually ended up meeting a friend, y'all. We became such good friends that we ended up taking a second trip together. I still haven't made it to Thailand yet, but it's in the works, y'all. Just stay tuned. But I just shared all of that to say, in order to get comfortable with going places by yourself, you first have to start small. All right, so the last tip that I have to master being alone is to be safe and aware of your surroundings. I know the world that we live in today is just so full of evil and dangerous people that a lot of women don't dare to go anywhere by themselves, and I honestly don't blame them. It's literally in the stats. However, there's still preventative measures that you can take to be safe on your solo experience. Some of the most obvious ones: don't go anywhere at night, only go out during the day. If you're going to any type of bar, things like that, watch the bartender make your drink. Never leave it unattended. When you're traveling in other cities and stuff, never let people know that you're traveling alone, bruh. Not until you get a really good feel on them, you know, and you don't feel like they're a serial killer or anything. And even then, hey, some people can just hide it really well, and that's where trusting God comes in. When I'm traveling different places and I know that I'm in God's will, I'm trusting that he's going to protect me and cover me. I know it sounds like very cliche, but it's the truth. Now, I'll tell you guys about my craziest solo experience that I would never do again looking back. I went to a Playboy Cardi concert in downtown Houston. So about like 19, 20, obviously before I gave my life to Christ. But I ended up going by myself because my friend had dropped out like last minute, probably like same day. She couldn't go no more. I wasn't about to miss it because this was like one of my favorite rappers at the time. I parked, waited in line for a little bit, got inside. The concert was cool, whatever, whoop de whoop. People next to me was vibing. They actually offered to smoke me out, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I didn't know where they lips had been, number one, and number two, I don't know what's in they blunt, bro. Not on that type of time. So it was like, all right, so we just vibing, whatever. Concert ends. Tell me why I forgot where I parked. I could not remember where I parked, y'all. I circled the block like 3 times. It's homeless people coming up to me having full-blown conversations. Mind y'all, this is downtown Houston. It's midnight, bro. Like, what? But yeah, that was just me being dumb, making reckless decisions. Like I said, bro, I was like 19, 20. Like, give me some grace. Definitely was not aware of my surroundings. So yeah, just make smart moves when you're out and about by yourself. Learn from me. That concludes all of the tips that I have for you guys when it comes to mastering being alone and also enjoying it. Like, don't go out and do solo dates and things just because it's a trend, just because you want to get content. Like, no, I want you to actually enjoy this thing, and to actually enjoy it, you're gonna have to go in and do that deep inner spiritual work first. Find yourself, find your identity in God, heal from any past rejection, pain, trauma, work in your God-given purpose, get out of your head, take those small steps, move safely, and then congratulations, you have conquered the fear of being alone. Make this a goal for the rest of 2025, and then I want you to comment down below on your progress. Like, just let me know, like, hey girl, I did such and such today, I had so much fun. I'll be like, hey. I genuinely do want to know though. Like, I'm really excited to see more women like going out, taking solo dates, and realizing like, hey, like, it's kind of fun, like, you're gonna be all right. Also, y'all comment down below if it's any other life chats you want me to speak on. I have a Christian dating one coming up soon, friendships, all that good stuff. So yeah, comment down below any topics that you want me to do. Other than that, I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in my next video.